Hello everyone, Sibilat here covering another match from UPL. This time it is a week 3 match between BeeOrSomething and NotVeryCake, and this one has a little bit of an interesting twist, but I'll let the game play out and we'll get to it when we get to it. So hopping into game 1, Mew lead versus Jinx lead, immediately I'm thinking that B is maybe taking a page out of what Ghastly's did last week, and gonna run like lead boom Mew with a back Jinx. And then seeing the opposing Jinx lead, I would assume this is gonna be an immediate boom and then the Jinx coming out. On Cake's side, seeing a Jinx immediately, she's been spamming that a lot in individuals lately, so not surprised to see it here. And just from seeing what she's been bringing in UPL this whole time, I'm gonna expect there's a Golem in this team. Golem, Eggy, that probably is 2 more members of the team, so there's really only 1 unrevealed. And that's an immediate boom. Here comes the Jinx and probably the egg from Cake. Okay, Starmie. So I'm gonna guess that I know Cake's whole team at this point. On B's side, I'm gonna guess there's probably some physical attackers, probably a T-Wave, Amni, Blizzard, Boom or Recover Mewtwo, just kind of depends on the team. Straight to Tauros, the pressure, assuming Cake will stay in and try to catch a Blizzard. There's a Cloyster. I do wonder if this is going to be a T-Bolt Bull. That would probably say a lot about what B's team is. If this is a T-Bolt Bull, then I'm going to assume Mono Blizzard Mewtwo. And it is, so I'm going to stick to that T-Wave Mono Blizzard Mewtwo assumption. And this is really good for B. I slam here every time. And there's the Golem as expected. Slam wouldn't have done much, but you know, the paralysis could have gone really far. Now surely you like slam or something. Okay, so this is Blizzbolt Tauros. Interesting. Not afraid of Gengar at all. And going Jinx to catch the T-Wave. I'm sure B will pivot now and not risk it. Okay. Takes a risk. Clicks a button thinking Cake might double or just not have amnesia, in which case it's not much of a threat anyway. But I guess wanting to save some Blizzards. Wanting to catch like Cloyster coming in, possibly on Blizzard. So these are just going to hit each other for a bit. We've seen T-Wave Psychic from Cake's side, so not wanting to be walled by ice types. And there's Body Slam. Okay. I'm glad B is clicking that actually. I think that's like, you want to paralyze this Mewtwo, so you might as well go for that with Jinx. Big para. I wonder if he's going to save the Jinx, but it looks like no. Just going to attack and try to get a special drop while he's at it, and he does. Now that's big. This Mewtwo is in prime position to get bullied out here, and the Tauros is looking very scary in the Cloyster plus Golem. I've kind of expressed before that I have a bit of a distaste for these kind of teams because I just think they're weak to too many things, and Blizzbolt Tauros is definitely one of them. B bringing Blizzard and Thunderbolt on Tauros really is calling out Cake on the 100% Golem use, while also like covering Cloyster or Starmie. So no egg this time from Cake. I was wrong on that part. But otherwise, like this is a team that gets farmed by Blizzbolt on anything. Blizzbolt Amnesia Mewtwo farms this team really, really hard because you have to switch Mewtwo and Mew into Blizzard repeatedly or just die. So I don't think that's what B is going to have here as far as the Mewtwo goes, but I think this T-Bolt Blizzard Tauros also does an obscene amount of damage here. And Snorlax coming in from B with Amnesia. So this is really scary for Golem at this point. It'll certainly have Blizzard. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so be predicting that Cake is going to go to Cloyster and try to catch the Blizzard or something. But like, was it really that bad if you +2 Blizzed into Cloyster? Sure, you don't really do any damage, but Golem easily could sub. It easily could, I don't know, go to something else where you'd rather have the Blizzard damage, maybe the Mew. But this is going to cost B, and it's probably going to end up being a trade. Okay, goes to Starmie now to catch a Blizzard and try to pivot on T-Bolt. I wonder if she'll go to the paralyzed Mewtwo. Okay, Instant Wake is pretty lucky. B probably should have T-Bolted that anyway, but it wouldn't have quite KO'd at +2, so unfortunate, but still looks pretty commanding for B. I think it's pretty hard to switch into +4 lax, even if you call it right every time. Look at that damage. And now Cake just going to be forced to sit here soft-boiling up. And I don't think it's going to do much. Okay, that worked out. But I mean, even if that hadn't frozen, the next one would have KO'd anyway. And B going to take the chance to set up and really say, like, you are going to have to boom something for this. Cloister will probably come in and try to clamp or just boom right away. I would just boom right away here, though. I don't think you can risk that for minor chip. Yep, and there's the boom. B deciding not to catch it with something else, and I'm sure there's not that much to catch it with. And the Starmie revealing Thunderbolt. Okay, so that's interesting. A lot of people don't bother running T-Bolt on Starmie in this tier. They'll just run like Surf plus Blizzard to threaten Psychic types with Surf, plus have Blizzard for Executor. So this Starmie, very much not a threat to Mewtwo in at all, probably. It's probably Surf Bolt or Blizz Bolt. You can always freeze it, but I mean, Mewtwo is just going to outpace it immediately if it has Amnesia, and I'm going to guess this is Amnesia T-Wave Blizzard. But of course, Amnesia T-Wave Blizzard also has to set up to break past Starmie. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. I think Tauros ultimately should win this if the Starmie ever takes Para, so B calling that out with the Amnesia, hitting that before the Mewtwo comes in. And keep in mind B's Mewtwo is still faster, so this is gonna... That's unlucky. So that would have been a KO, and then I think Cake would have been forced to boom Golem on this, which would have left a 2v1 situation with probably Egg plus Bull, which will almost always win that. And if B is clicking T-Wave, that tells me that the last move's recover and not self-destruct, because if it was self-destruct, you'd keep pushing the pressure because you don't have any recovery. And boosting up some more, going to try to break through this way. It's pretty reasonably possible still at this point, but it is definitely unlucky, and there's the recover. 6 more blizzards, so you do need some luck, and Cake can definitely just spam recover to give herself a little more safety. Still, if I'm in B's shoes, I probably... I think you have to throw some blizzards because the golem could come in and sub down and waste 4 more of them, and that would be really awful. That's such a shame about that para earlier because B would have pretty much won this game on the spot, and I feel like he really positioned himself well to do so. Just not lucky. Oh, hey, another chance. Okay. Oh, that's so sad. I think B did the right things this game, had the right team matchup. Jinx and Blizzbolt Bull both really farmed here, but not overcommitting to it by also making the Mewtwo something that farmed here. And now it's just probably not going to work out because I think this Mewtwo is going to outlast B's Mewtwo. Ultimately, Cake just has to get one turn right to get Golem in and install the last 3 Blizzards, and this is over. I'm actually going to speed it up a little because probably it's going to be like another 20 turns or so before Cake tries to make that read. I wouldn't do it too soon either. You might as well let B throw some random Blizzards, try to make a guess and get it wrong. Okay, there it is. So gonna slow it back down again. And now Golem's perfectly safe to click sub 3 times and wait this out. If I'm in B's shoes, I'm pretty strongly considering not breaking this sub at all and just sitting on it. But also it probably is fine to just throw 3 blizzards and ensure the Golem can't have a sub up afterward in case it gets lucky. And another blizzard, 1 left. So Cake should come out of this with a 1% Golem with no sub. That's sad. So B really getting screwed in the end game here. And now the dangerous thing is, right, you can't break this sub. And if you para a couple of times, you're just out of this immediately because then Golem will get to boom something else too. I guess if you have an egg in back, you have to send in an egg and click Sleep Powder, which also is a horrible momentum loss. So just gonna try to stall this out. 11 earthquakes, probably some rock slides as well. Could be body slam, in which case it's a lot less threatening. And B's got plenty of recovers, but probably what's going to happen is this Golem is going to trade for the Mewtwo unless it gets lucky with a couple of paralysis turns. Or that. That was a low roll crit, I think. Or no, the previous Earthquakes were high rolls because it only does like 30 to 35, so you're not especially favored to 3-hit KO. And Cake just looking for the para turns before committing any more Earthquakes. She's down to 8 of them. And again, like not really much B can do here. Switching out wouldn't fix the problem. You still have a dead in the water Mewtwo, so probably the best use you're going to get out of it is trying to stall this out and force the boom. And then if you can paralyze Starmie, you win. And honestly, Tauros versus Starmie odds flat out aren't that bad for Tauros, although it's definitely not favored. And we might be here for a little bit, so I will speed it up again. Slowly running down though, and Cake even just stalling with Substitute now, trying to call some recover turns. 19 recovers versus 16 more attacks. And it's pretty dangerous for B to not recover, but also you can't run out of recovers early or you're screwed. So kind of being forced to recover anytime that he goes below like even 80%. Really can't risk one crit, one para turn turning around. And more subs. This Golem's PP doesn't really matter. It's just about can it break this Mewtwo and get a boom somewhere else? Or at least force in like Executor, if that's what B has, to click a very obvious button. B continuing to stall. One more Earthquake. So at this point, B is a lot safer to not click Recover right away. The Earthquake will come out now for sure, because that's Rock Slide range if no recovery. And now I think that Cake's just not breaking this, and it's going to be a boom. No reason not to. Golem's going to be slower than anything else anyway, and it's a bit risky to try to do anything else. You may as well just boom this, but yeah, there it is. Funny little sprite glitch from RBY, but the Golem does in fact go down. Tauros comes out, so looks like he's just going to go for para on the Starmie by body slamming it. Unlucky to not get an attack off on the first turn. And another para. Yeah, this is probably a loss now. Blizzbolt Starmie honestly is not favored to 1v1 Tauros because of the non-stab damage. And the accuracy, like a lot can go wrong here, but Cake dodging like 3 para slams and getting 2 full para turns. Okay, it's a Zapdos. Zapdos is probably not gonna win this. It could. It's faster than the Mewtwo right now, but you need a lot, and following the theme of this game, B is still not getting anything. So Cake wins game 1. Ultimately, I think B had the right position in the mid game, and then just paralyzing twice when he was in position to kill the Mewtwo really screwed the game. If that Mewtwo went down, then trading Mewtwo for Golem is still a winning position, and Starmie was not going to beat Tauros plus Zapdos. So a little bit unlucky for B for sure. Team-wise, Cake pretty much bringing the expected stuff that she would bring. And on B's side, taking a page from Ghastly is definitely interesting. And I noticed this like Amnesia Bolt Beam Snorlax. Ghastly's has definitely done stuff like this, but this is also a very like B idea for sure. So cool to see like that idea get mixed together and how that comes out. I do wonder in game 2 if B is going to run something with like more of a Blizzbolt angle for Mewtwo. I feel like I'm the only one who runs Amnesia Blizzbolt at this point, and I don't get why. It's pretty good. So Gengar, Jinx, B could boom right away, or could just Hypnosis, and Ubers I'd probably rather Hypnosis because there's a decent chance of an egg on the other side. This might be the exact same team from Cake based on last week where she did exactly that and just brought the same team repeatedly. Could also just be like Jinx, Golem, and then some stuff that's different from the last game. But I would expect Jinx, Golem, one of Egg or Starmie, maybe both, who knows. So coming in with Mewtwo onto the Gengar to force it out. Slowbro coming in. So be very confident this is not a T-Bolt Mewtwo, and T-Wave coming out seems to support that it's less likely to be. Psychic crit drop is pretty brutal, but at least you'll T-Wave it back, so now this Slowbro has a chance in the matchup, but this is scary, because now even if you boost up, you're slower. Another drop. Clicking Amnesia, clearing the drops, should live a non-crit. and probably resting here. 3 consecutive drops plus a crit. That's tough. So now probably going to be forced out, or just trusting that there'll be at least one para in 3. And after that para, I think this Slowbro is doing okay. Even with that additional drop and another crit. Crit doesn't really matter in this case because of the amnesia, or the -2 special from side drops. Narrowly living again, getting dropped yet again. Another boost, and now Slowbro should be fast enough to rest. Yeah. So B pulling it back, planning to stall this Mewtwo entirely out. Slowbro a bit of a rarer sight now, but I'm not really sure why. People still are not running nearly enough T-Bolt Mewtwo to really dissuade Slowbro at all. Now I'm going to guess that Slowbro is going to get out and let Gengar take the sleep. Yeah. Still, Slowbro did pretty good. Blocked 7 Psychics from this Mewtwo. I want to come back to that for a second. So T-Wave Psychic Recover Mewtwo shown so far from Cake. I'm going to bet last move is probably Blizzard. We've seen Jinx Egg, so this is a different team from last time, but I'm going to bet there's still a Golem. And then who knows what the +1 is. It could be like Starmie, it could be Cloyster, it could be whatever. I feel like Cake has been using like 8 Pokemon and just rotating them a bit. On B's side, Gengar plus Executor plus Slowbro suggests maybe like a bit of a boom spamish idea. Leave things open for Slowbro to clean up the game. So I do wonder what the Mewtwo and Mew sets will be. I would bet at least one of them has boom, if not both. I would think that maybe the last is another like physical attacker with boom, could be Snorlax, but that's a bit slow. Maybe Tauros even. But I feel like it's more likely to be something physical with boom. Cloyster, I know, is not like quite a physical attacker, but Cloyster kind of fits these kinds of ideas, but could also just be another T-Waver. I don't know. There's a lot of options here to set up like a Slowbro win con. Could also be something like an Articuno and just have like double win cons, but I think that might not go super well here. So Slowbro coming back in, planning to wall off the Mewtwo again. Another drop. I think that Psychic has dropped like 7 or 8 times. That's tough. Slowbro now faster. And might rest, might just hit. Amnesia. Okay. So now B has a good reason to T-Wave this. And Cake has a good reason to boom this, but probably won't right away. And B going right to Egg as okay, Cake booms. So that did seem like maybe a fairly likely boom turn. Slowbro at 60 means you like take it out. On the flip side, like there is a Gengar sleeping, so it is scary to just boom. B mid-grounding with Egg. You can take an Egg War there if it doesn't boom, and if it does, at least you have not lost your Slowbro. And it really sucks if you get Psychicked on Gengar while it's sleeping. You like having it at 100 and having a little more time to pivot. Probably going to just rest this now. This rests, Mew comes in, that suggests physical attacking Mew of some kind. And there's the Swords Dance, and if this has a normal type move, it'll kill this Egg. It doesn't, it's Monoquake for sure. So, T-Wave Mewtwo, Executor, and then Mew coming in with either, it could be Monoquake with T-Wave. Body Slam at +2 should kill Egg. Hyper Beam obviously kills Egg, so yeah, that makes me think that this is a Monoquake T-Wave Mew, which I have no real idea why you're running like all these non-booming things. What do you have last that you want these to stick around to spread T-Wave but not really be that much of a threat? Like there's gonna be a Golem. It's Cake, there's always a Golem. But surely you want some things with Boom to help enable it by softening up the other team. I'm curious what the very last one is. If that last one is a T-Waver, then I really don't see a reason this Mew isn't like Hyper Beam plus Earthquake or something from Cake. And B going for it with the Mew, definitely lucky that that paralyzed, but I don't think this is unreasonable to go for at this point at all. You're kind of breaking for the win con of Slowbro here. Okay, so it is a Starmie. as B sets up again. So you have another T-Waver. Why does this Mew need to be Monoquake T-Wave? That definitely tells me the last is going to be Golem. I think a lot of people are on this idea that if you run Monoquake T-Wave, you need a Golem or a Rhydon, but I mean, Cake likes Golem better. But I don't like I get the logic behind it, but I feel like if your team needs that core of two, you could just run a better core. Like Jinx, me, Egg, T-Wave Earthquake Mew, T-Wave No Boom Mewtwo Golem just really lacks breaking power. You lose to a lot with this for sure, especially like Slowbro. There is zero on this team that can deal with Slowbro except for hitting one of your two booms on it, and you only have two. There's no reason for B not to just push this and attack and take out this Starmie in case it's T-Bolt, which I would hope it is at this point, or you're just getting farmed by Slowbro. Gonna give up the KO on the Jinx, Starmie down to 19, Mew very chipped, or Mewtwo very chipped, Mew, there's the Golem. So gonna sub down on this. Probably what's gonna happen is this Golem is gonna boom for the Mew, and I think B will be pretty happy overall with getting this much progress out of the Mew, especially if there's follow-up from like an aggressive Mewtwo. I don't see many ways B loses this, except for a lot of paralysis and losing the Mew for free. Because Golem is threatening to Slowbro, it's faster, you can just come in and boom. That sucks. Okay, I mean, it's like the same thing as full paralyzing. Okay, RBY. That's pretty funny. Oh, okay, back to it, as if, let's just pretend that turn didn't happen. And there goes the Mew. I feel like that could have been called out, but also, like, Golem has one more sub in it. It's pretty reasonable to just stay in and trust. And now I'm going to guess this is a T-Wave Mewtwo, which pretty much softens up the last threat to Slowbro, unless that Starmie has T-Bolt. If that Starmie doesn't have T-Bolt, then this is a 100% auto loss for Cake, I would say. If this is Boom Mewtwo, you're going to rip it pretty soon, too. Like, you might just Blizz Boom here. Okay, Amni Blizz Boom is looking likely. It's faster than the Mew. Okay, Recover. I don't. That's a little unideal for B. This could be lost by some bad paralysis turns. Going for another boost. So the Mewtwo is still faster here, and it should just barely scrape by and live this Earthquake. Yeah, so again, if Cake ran a better set here, I don't have another way to say that. Just like if Cake ran a better Mew set for what this team is doing, that would have been really easy. Ultimately, the Mewtwo getting a little bit unlucky and going down, but this Mew's at 56% paralyzed. If this Slowbro ever wakes up, the game is over. If this last is something that can deal with Starmie, this game is over. Going for the Wake and trusting that there's not a T-Bolt Starmie, and there clearly isn't because there's no reason you wouldn't click it yet. So Starmie gonna have quite the uphill battle, and I feel like Cake maybe should not have let that wake up like this. Maybe you go to the Mew and you try to set up and at least pressure it a little bit. At +2, you have some decent pressure. But doing this is basically just saying, like, hey, B, take your free setup turns and win this game. You can't even switch now because amnesias are going to be coming in and they'll reapply paralysis. The Starmie has no way to reapply. It's probably Surf Blizz, so Cake also probably should have clicked Blizzard if the Starmie has it and just gone for that. Slowbro has no reason here not to just attack. Although that's a good move, going to the Starmie and sacking it to reset the speed, make sure you get a free entry. So Mewtwo's faster than the Slowbro, you're hoping for a big crit, but even a crit, like, might not even KO from there. It should. Yeah, a crit would have KO'd. But now that the Slowbro is rested, there's just about a 0% chance that Cake is ever winning this game. There's only 5 Psychics. The only out here is getting a Blizzard. T-Wave's not it, you just have to Blizz. Not blizzarding means this is 100% over now. There's not really anything that Cake can do. You're not going to stall this. Look at that damage. This one's over, so it's going to be 1-1 for between the two. So again, I think like Cake is having like a weirdly the opposite problem of something I pointed out in week 1 where she ran like 0 T-waves. Now it's you have all this T-wave and no offense. Jinx Golem Egg is not enough offense to back up a bunch of T-wavers with no booms, no real physical offense aside from Golem. Not the biggest fan of that. On B's side, I noticed this again of like B running these T-Wave Amnesia Psychic Recover Mewtwo's to really force para on the Psychic types and enable something else, in this case a Slowbro. I do wonder what this Mew's full set was. I'm going to guess it was T-Wave Earthquake, but I feel like you could have run Hyper Beam on this. You have Slowbro, Egg, Mewtwo, all spreading para. The last also would probably have said a lot. I'm going to guess that this last is either another thing meant to enable Slowbro, or it could be that this is T-Wave Earthquake because the last here is a Golem or Rhydon, and the idea is enabling that as well because this team is pretty slow. If it's one of those, I think that's like pretty understandable. I don't know if I super love it, but I think it's a valid idea. Either way, 1-1, and we go to the next. Starmie lead from B versus yet another Jinx from Cake. So we already know Jinx that behind that Jinx is going to be another Golem, and there's going to be one of Starmie or Egg probably, maybe both. Who knows? And getting the sleep, going to Mewtwo as B stays asleep. That suggests like Amnesia Mewtwo, maybe T-Wave Mewtwo trying to make a call out and get a T-Wave. Could also have both. Pretty reasonable to have both here. I'd expect a T-Wave coming in if this has it. No wave, Psychic. I still think this has wave, but I do wonder about not trying to make any kind of call there. Good chance this is yet another Mewtwo from B that has just mono psychic plus recover. And trying to call the pivot on Cake's end, B's definitely playing around with her here and getting some free wake turns. But now Snorlax is in, and that's a bit worrying. Snorlax, at least, like we've seen a Snorlax from Cake now, suggest maybe some changes in the back of this team, but I'm going to guess there's still a Golem because there so often has been. So now B getting Snorlax in, wonder how this will go, if B is going to pull a trigger on Boom before getting caught out. Snorlax should live H-Beam from here, so you have like one more chance to hit or to just rip the Boom. Now could be a Hyper Beam tie, could be a Boom tie. Cloister on a predicted, well, hang on, what HP was this at? It was at 23, so Body Slam was right from Cake. And that's a tough one for the Cloister to take. B definitely on the back foot in this game. And staying with Cloister, so really confident on living that turn, and that's a huge boom. This Mewtwo is effectively gone. Nothing to really switch into here. You just take the Psychic, go down. So nice move from B getting a lot out of that Cloister despite the para. And now this Mew going to take T-Wave as well, so B really neutralizing a lot of threats in this game. And T-Wave Mew, so this could be more physically offense-oriented from Cake. I'm gonna guess it's T-Wave Earthquake because for some reason she runs that all the time. It pairs okay with Golem, but I think there's just better ideas. So B getting rid of Mewtwo and Mew on the opposing side. And here comes Egg on Zapdos. This is scary because like Jinx is likely to come in, but you could get called out. So you kind of have to click a powder move. Stun Spore is an odd click. Maybe trying to catch Snorlax and not let it block sleep. I have no clue why Cake clicked Lovely Kiss there. I guess forgot there's a sleeping Starmie. Blizzard would have been very scary, but that may be a bit of a mistake. And Mew Swords Dancing up. If this is like Hyper Beam Earthquake Mew, this looks really, really tough. For Cake, Body Slam helps as well. Now a speed tie. Zapdos may be going to agility to try to reset the speed, but also could just attack. And B probably looking for the situation where he comes out of this with full HP. And there's the Golem, because there's always a Golem. So now I'm going to guess this is Body Slam Earthquake from Mew, which means this Golem is going to get forced to boom pretty quickly here. Reflect. So this is like the same idea that Enagami ran last week. Reflect Slam. Don't love it. It is pretty safe versus this Golem and this Snorlax, but you are going to use most of your Body Slams breaking through here. Probably should set up to +6. Because right now, that body slam is half breaking a sub, but you might as well just go +6 in front of this thing. And then, like, if you get out of this alive, you win the game pretty immediately. I think that is probably worth doing. Also matters for damage on Snorlax. That sucks. So, okay, great soft-boiled. I mean, no idea how B knew, or I guess B just wanted to make sure that he was 100% topped off just in case of a boom coming. So if Cake booms, it does end the turn, meaning B can't recover. So I think what Cake is probably looking for here is a situation where this Mew is at like 60 to 70, and then just immediately boom on it so that it can't actually stay set up because it is pretty poised to win this game. With that, it still shouldn't break subs. Yeah, max roll is a little bit less than subs HP. So now boom is almost certainly coming. No boom. Okay, so Cake confident in getting this lower before having to boom, or just gonna let Golem waste as many body slams as possible. There's still 21 left, so you're not really gonna get that far with this. Especially if B just keeps swords dancing. One more swords dance and we'll probably see B tear through this and force a quick boom. And then Golem boom plus Lax boom like would handle this, but then you would probably lose the rest of the game. It's close. Hard to say if Egg will win that. Yeah, B might need this Mew a little too much, so definitely has to keep it topped off. Explosion would still do a good chunk. That's so rough. Okay, now the boom is 100% coming. There's no reason you wouldn't here. Two crits is very lucky for Cake in this situation. Golem not known for having a good crit rate. It's not like super lucky. There were a lot of earthquakes clicked, but it definitely is luckier than not lucky. Egg coming in, so trying to save that Snorlax to win the end game. The problem is there's a Jinx, so you really need a drop here or this game starts to look horrible. The drop helps a lot. So Egg should be able to get big value here, and this is starting to look like a tie. Like starting to look like a last mon boom situation with the Egg in Zapdos range pretty clearly, but we'll see. Could be that B just wins this game by booming twice, but definitely the Zapdos going to come in first to force this boom and force a speed tie situation. Okay, so B taking no risks, except that's a crazy agility call out. I mean, it's a pretty good click for sure. I support clicking in the agility there. Really calling B on going for that. Now B needs a full para to not lose the game. And now this, hmm. So now B could just boom and secure the tie, or just sleep powder and go for the win, choosing to boom and play another one, confident in winning the game. So I actually did know this was a tie because I saw the 4 games in the replay count. But when we got to the end there, I started wondering, why is this a tie? So B not willing to trust a 75-25 to win the game. It's a little bit less than that because you can first turn wake from sleep powder, so there's a couple chances to get out of that. But sleep powder landing and sticking is just a 1 game. So I think B should have taken that. I mean, I think B is fully capable of winning this, but when you have a 75-25 or close to it in your favor, just take that and go for the win. So now we're going to go to a game 4 and could really go either way. Cake bringing Jinx Golem every single time. If I'm in B's shoes, whatever I have in my builder, I'm bringing a Gengar and I'm bringing some stuff that really punishes Golem. These are the kind of teams where I do think about like a Cloydon because Cake is so committed to this T-Wave Earthquake Mew that can't do much. Articuno also a really good bring, like Gengar plus Articuno could go hard here. Blizzbolt Mewtwo with Amnesia would farm all of this pretty much. You just have to not get boomed. And me, Egg, Cloy from B looking a lot closer to a Cake team if you just put a Jinx and a Golem on there. But don't really love this Mew set. Like, that's the big sticking point I have in this team. I get the win con idea, but like, Body Slam is just not that good. And you know that Cake is bringing Golem every single game. I just don't favor these mono-attacking sets into Cake because she brings a lot of stuff that walls mono-attacking sets and a lot of stuff that gets farmed by dual attacking sets. So let's see if B adjusts in game number 4, our first game 4 of this tournament. Gengar, so there's the adaptation immediately. Cake not bringing a 4th Jinx in a row, which I think is a smart call to not do that again. I'm still expecting a Starmie Egg Golem on this team, though. And here comes the egg that anyone could have predicted. But nice Hypnosis call from B. Interesting that Cake was willing to T-Wave, by the way. Turn 1 T-Wave either suggests like pretty high confidence that the Gengar is staying in, and that this is not non-psychic me, which I think both are, yeah, I think it's pretty likely this is a non-psychic me from what we've seen so far. So clicking T-Wave to weaken this so Egg can try to push Sleep somewhere else. But a lot of confidence that B would stay in then, because if that switched and something else caught T-Wave, this Egg might have been sleep blocked for the rest of the game. Ultimately getting it. And now Cake could click sleep on this turn. Yeah, that's a great call out on B. It would have been really sick if B stayed in and boomed that, but instant wake, so now this Egg is in trouble. I think at 50%, it's like a 38.5 to KO percent chance, something like that. But there's also crit odds, there's also missing sleep powder odds, so might even just rip boom right away. And calling out the switch to the inevitable golem, so we've got the Cake staple showing up again, everyone but the Jinx is here. And now probably a T-Wave coming. Not this time, so probably Blizzard Muse too still. Like if you're setting up in that thing's face, you're probably like looking for the chance to just take out Mewtwo and Mew with Blizzard pretty immediately. Don't know if I love B bringing a Zapdos. Like Articuno would have mauled this game with the Starmie asleep. And Barrier too. Okay, so this looks horrendous for Cake at this point. Egg Golem can't come in on Barrier Ice 2. The Starmie is asleep and will get 3-hit KO'd. So there's not really any play here, especially if that's a T-Wave Earthquake Mew, then this isn't going to win at all. B has no reason not to just start hitting this. It has no time to set up. It has nothing. So it's going to try to just stall and hope, but like you are losing this slowly and there's freeze chances and there is the freeze. So now Cake probably going to preserve this, go to Mewtwo and try to stall it out, but B is super advantaged in stalling this out. I think what Cake has to do is go back and forth between Mewtwo and Starmie and try not to take any Ice Beams on Starmie on the switch, because if you do, you're probably going to lose this game pretty fast. And doing exactly that, going to Starmie. If I'm in B's shoes, I probably would set up another barrier just because you can, and then start trying to call turns. But choosing to get out, interesting. I feel like B could have just stayed there. Now maybe taking a bit of a risk, but probably this is another Psychic Blizzard, no Amnesia, no Boom Mewtwo, and confirming that right away for me. So gonna click barrier, just covering for a Boom user coming in and trying to just take this out. Notoriously, Ice Beam Mewtwo cannot 2-hit KO Executor, for example. So like Egg can hard switch in and just boom. And very unlucky for B. This Mewtwo probably should have won this game, but getting immensely pressured by that and a crit. So B's luck so far has been unideal. And going to Mewtwo on the egg, trying to call like a stun spore click or something, but gets back in, recovers up, might get boomed. I would boom here. Not booming. I think that's a mistake from Cake. I think you have to force this out on low HP and keep the pressure on. And I think now that you've let it recover twice and not boomed it, B is probably going to switch. Okay, just trying to hit the Ice Beam. I don't think I really agree with doing that, but in this case, it's working out fine. And Amnesia going to shore up that defensive side a little bit pretty quickly. Now here, I think you just boost up a little bit, and as long as you're on +2 special, you can just start throwing a random Ice Beam here and there and call Starmie coming in. But as long as this Mewtwo gets stalled out of Blizzards, you're pretty safe either way. You have lots of other options to handle this game once it runs out, and it's only got 3 left. So you just keep recovering up. You're at +2 defense, so booms are not the most scary thing in the world. Mew coming in is not the most scary thing. And boosting up, I wouldn't attack here, I'd boost again. Okay, so Cake would have gotten me for 1 sleep turn there, but not B. B knows. And this Starmie, after another boost, is 2-hit KO'd by Ice Beam, of which B has 11 more. So this looks pretty one for B, although Cake is definitely doing everything right to try to stall this out. I don't think that the odds are particularly favorable. Unparalyzed Mewtwo versus Barrier 2, you're just super, super stalled out of PP, especially when one of your moves is when you've got Psychic and Blizzard on the set, really. And getting a Starmie switch in there. I would not Ice Beam on these. I would Ice Beam on the turns Mewtwo is in, for the reason that either Cake has to commit another power point of one of the moves or has to go to Starmie and take the hit. Nothing else can take the hit here. So throwing random Ice Beams when Mewtwo is in has a much better chance of catching the Starmie coming in, and not on turns where Mewtwo has to recover, that's for sure. So B, stalling some turns. I would probably wait a couple more turns, then throw another Ice Beam. You only have to get this right twice. It's not a big ask with 9 Ice Beams, and then this game is very bad. It's a non-Amni Mewtwo, Egg Golem, like a lot of things can beat this from here. Snorlax can do a lot of damage. Maybe an Ice Beam coming here? Okay, we'll never know. Ultimately, though, it doesn't cost B any power points. Okay, so trying to recover the Mew, and then just going to go back to Mewtwo, hopefully. Takes a crit. That sucks. So giving up more value than this Mewtwo should have gotten, but I don't think I agree with the stay there at all anyway. Like Crit Blizzard would have done 49 max on entry, a little bit less than that, because what +2 would have done. Would have done 49.1 at max roll. So I think that B did not need to risk that, could have just gone back, and then now this only has one Blizzard left, so barring full parrying a couple times, this Mewtwo would have recovered back up anyway, and then B probably would have been able to keep stalling, and eventually set up the Mew right in this Mewtwo's face, because like, why not? So just gonna set up again. They're trying to call out Starmie turns. And that's another Ice Beam down. Freeze Claws activated is funny, but that's why Cake did not sack the Mew. And 8 more Ice Beams to make 2 correct calls, and then this game starts looking horrendous for Cake, where every wrong call becomes a KO, or the Mewtwo gets PP stalled out pretty quickly. So if I'm in Cake's shoes, I might just stay in with Mewtwo full time here and try to wait for B to get a little desperate, but doesn't do that and eats another Ice Beam, and now B just needs to hit 1 and 7, and then things start getting really bad. No Ice Beam here because of Para. I wonder if B did click it. I wouldn't have clicked it in that spot for sure, because I would be thinking Cake's going to bail out and not risk the game like that. But we'll never know. B definitely full parrying a few times where there was a chance to hit the Starmie, so we'll never know if B maybe made one more correct call that didn't come through. Definitely a bit precarious on both ends right now. Both of them could lose the game to a couple wrong calls, but B has more chances to make wrong calls and still do a lot of damage. Cake, one wrong call could be very bad. Like if you get the wrong call and the Starmie comes in on Ice Beam with 6 left, then that's your Mewtwo forced to stay in or risk losing the entire game. Another para Starmie comes in, so we won't know what B clicked there. It's been a little while since an Ice Beam, so B might have actually nailed that. Who knows? And still just barriering, really stalling down this Mewtwo that can't really attack, can't really do that much. Could even stall it down to the point that it has to start clicking recovers or a lot more risky Starmie goes. So I think B is going to wait until this is a lot riskier. That's so unfortunate. Yeah, so now this barrier 2 is permawalled. Starmie can come in and recover in front of it as long as there's a frozen Pokemon. Yeah, this is really sad. So B, like, losing a lot of ground to crits, to full paralysis, in a game that I would say was very difficult to lose without a lot of this RNG happening. And it's a real shame, too, because B had the advantage of Game 3 endgame and chose to play another game over that. Probably a Surf Blizz Starmie, so that makes this a bit scary. But of course, there's still an eggs that you have to wear down before you can even try to sleep that. But if this egg goes down, it looks good, but a bit scary. Like if it booms this, then you're not going to get the sleep. So a lot of things not going B's way. I think you could have gone to the Zapdos and not been super afraid of the Golem. but now it just looks very, very hard to win. There's the Surf Blizz reveal. Oh no, please don't get crit again. No crit. Okay, so B's not out of the woods. A couple crits could do it. But getting kind of out of the woods at this point. Once this is amnesia'd up, I'm feeling a little bit better because it takes a lot more then. But even so, like, this is gonna get stalled. On B's end, I'm not like, I really think if this Zapdos was just an Articuno, this game already looks so much better. I think you have to account for like Cake bringing the same things over and over and over. It's been like, I want to say 9 or 10 matches of Cake bringing Golem every single game. Even if you think like there's going to be a lot of Starmies and Cloisters, like I think you could have run Blizzbolt Mewtwo. There were some options here, and Blizzbolt would have done pretty well. I think Cake historically has a weakness of not scouting Mewtwo sets, and then you just T-bolt the Cloister in the face. I'm speaking from experience on this one. So I think there were maybe some chances for B to see those things in pretty recent games and think, okay, maybe Psyblizz or Blizzbolt Mewtwo could have done a lot of damage here. Just like a classic Mewtwo, but with Blizzard instead of Ice Beam, which is just a straight up upgrade for non-barrier sets. Still though, like Barrier 2 should have won this game, and instead it looks like it might even just die here. Yeah, that's really sad. This is unlucky. A lot of things went wrong for B in this one. No real route to win it from here. Starmie should just clean up with some support from Golem. Not the biggest fan of risking this, but I guess you're probably fine as long, like, honestly, as long as you're not in. Yeah, as long as the Golem stays healthy, this is probably fine. And just gonna keep attacking down and trust in the cleanup from Mewtwo. Which, does Mewtwo even have? It has one more Blizzard, that helps. Yeah, so the Snorlax is like just out of range of everything, so I do wonder if Cake's gonna risk it. But gets a crit anyway, so it doesn't even get boomed on this Mewtwo. So every out that B has is just dying to crits, dying to paralysis. Really a shame. I think B made some really good moves in the first few games, but I really think that game 3 taking the tie is gonna haunt him. And now Gengar gonna come in and just die to get Egg in, but it's not really gonna matter. With the Mewtwo paralyzed, you're not gonna get enough value out of this. There's nothing you can really do. Cake has zero reason to risk anything. You just go to the Mew, sack that, bring in Mewtwo, click Blizzard, something dies. You can even just click Psychic, it doesn't really matter. And one more Mon in the back on Cake's side. Probably some physical attacker. Or Zapdos, I guess. Kinda counts as a physical attacker. And all you need at this point is to just keep going to Golem when it's time to go to Golem, keep going to Mewtwo whenever the egg comes in, and there's nothing that B can really do except for get a million full paras in a row and a bunch of 256s. Like, the amount of stuff it would take here is just an exaggeratedly silly amount of stuff. You'd need like Blizzard to miss here and then a bunch of paralysis. Which, to be fair, is starting to happen, but like I don't see how Zapdos, like if Cake Zapdos gets a free entry, then the other Zapdos is not going to beat it anyway. 59% paralyzed. Just a lot to ask. It is funny to think that both Mewtwo's might just die to a string of paras, but ultimately the one on B mattered, and this one doesn't really matter to the game outcome. Not even sure why Cake risked that. That's odd. So hang on, right here, like in a typical game, you might see someone switch out when they're super special drop like this, and you can call it with sleep. But Cake has no reason to care if this Mewtwo dies. Zapdos comes in, you just click whatever. Golem is not paralyzed, and both of these are. So if B ever goes Zapdos, Golem comes in, it's faster than the egg, so it will kill the egg on entry. There's just nothing, there's no reason you would go Zapdos here. That risked the game for no reason. And if that sleep hit, this game could have been lost. That That upsets me. I don't like when people make risky plays for no reason in guaranteed one end games and get bailed on it. This happened too with like Enigami versus Ghastly's, the turn 52, Tauros hard switching in Articuno on a turn when you could have just sacked the Cloister and then gone to Tauros. So we're seeing like another one of those situations here, and Cake kind of getting bailed, honestly. This whole team is horrifically bad in a barrier ice too. Zapdos, Golem, Executor all just die instantly to fully boosted Mewtwo and don't really have any options to hurt it. This is almost certainly another T-Wave Earthquake Mew, which can't really break through it without a bunch of crits and paras. This Mewtwo doesn't even have Amnesia, so it can't fight it at all. Like, don't get me wrong, Cake made the right moves around the Barrier Ice 2 once the freeze came through on Mew, but like, so many things could have gone wrong for Cake. First of all, if the Ice Beam didn't freeze it there, honestly, that was a better situation for B without the freeze. Because that Mew was going to go down in one or two more Ice Beams, even if it kept recovering. And then B would have had free reign to just freeze the Mewtwo, win the game. Nothing that Cake can do about it. The Starmie Instant Wake was lucky. A bunch of pit paralysis on the Mewtwo early on really blunted B's momentum. The paras later, of course, made the Mewtwo just die. Just lots and lots of stuff that didn't work out well for B, and that's really unfortunate. I think B still should have won this game, even if I think B could have taken some other cues from the matchups beforehand. Had a bit of a better idea of what Cake was bringing, given the consistency of Cake bringing the same stuff. But definitely not a lucky day for B. I think just game one could have easily gone B's way. This game could have easily gone B's way. Game three, B made a choice to take the tie, so you can't really call that unlucky. But ultimately, Cake wins it, so sucks for B that things just haven't been working these last couple weeks. But I think B's got the right idea, and hopefully it'll pick up on Cake's end. Like, getting rewarded for bringing lots and lots of the same stuff and getting a lot of full para, kind of rough to watch, but ultimately it's not her fault as a player that things like this happen to the opponent. I do think she really could benefit from switching up the Mew sets, not running so much Golem, not running quite as much Starmie, honestly. It worked out this time, but without that wake, it did not work. So I don't know. I do think that the lack of team diversity should have bit Cake here, but it didn't work out. So, 4-game series and pretty long video because of that, especially with how much time was spent kind of stalling out a barrier 2 and stuff like that, and stalling on the Golem with the Mewtwo that ran out of PP. So, long set, but as always, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any thoughts on how I can improve these, and I'll see you in the next one.